Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Well-being and Sustainable Development 2022. Commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence and UN Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute, Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. We welcome you all once again to the International Webinar Series. Before we start our series, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue to today's session. Today is very auspicious day. Today we are celebrating Guru Purnima. That is, we are expressing our gratitude to all the gurus, teachers across the world, across the planet. So on this wonderful occasion, let's express our gratitude and thanks to all the teachers, gurus, spiritual leaders who have been contributing to extensively to the development of the nation as well as the entire planet. So with our reverence to the greatest gurus of the planet, let's continue to today's session. Today we have with us Angelica Ira Marie Palisugai. She is Professor Lysum of the Philippines University, Cavite, psychology instructor, psychometrician from Philippines. She is professor from the Philippines, handling psychology major subjects. Moreover, she is lecturer for psychometrician board exam and has also facilitated several workshops and seminars in the field of industrial, clinical, and educational psychology. She is registered psychometrician who has also accomplished an 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction program. As a mental health advocate, she has served as a volunteer for several organizations that facilitate psychological first aid. Furthermore, she is also a member of Psychological Association of the Philippines as well as a psychological organization for the promotion of mental health. We welcome you, ma'am, once again to the International Webinar Series, and we invite you to take over for your session on mindfulness, self-care, and self-compassion. Over to you.
Hello, good evening, Dr. Ravindra. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And of course, I would like to thank Ma'am Mary Frida for also inviting me to be one of your speakers today. It is such an honor to be with you and to share some of my knowledge about the mental health from our country, from Philippines. And also, I would like to greet our participants for joining us tonight. And I hope you will learn a lot from our session this evening. Okay, may I share now my slide? So the topic that we'll be talking mostly tonight is revolving around mindfulness, self-care, and self-compassion. And I hope you get to learn more of how we can handle our mental health. And later on, we'll be doing breakout sessions in order for us to see, how you'll be able to adapt and to apply, okay, which of all the topics that we'll be discussing later will be beneficial for all of us, okay? So here, okay, I'm sure some of the other participants are also familiar with this slide. So it is an annotation marking wherein before we begin, I would like to make you feel mindful of what part of our body, of your body, do you feel that you are most stressed with. So I'll be allowing the annotation. May I ask our host if there is a permission for our participants to do the annotation. Okay, let me just try once again. If ever, no, we'll not be able to open the annotation function of our Zoom meeting tonight, you may consider using or chatting, using the chat box to share with us what part do you mostly feel stressed today or tonight. Okay, let's see.
Annotation feature is not available due to security reasons. We have disabled it. So
okay.
now in meeting we cannot do anything as of now.
All right, I understand. Thank you so much, Doc.
Thank you.
So we'll use the chat box instead for the feedback and the reply of our participants in terms of which part of their body do they feel mostly stressed. Okay, head, mostly, no? Head. Okay, I've been receiving responses from our participants, and most of the responses are from the head. All right. So to move forward, some, okay, mostly, no, felt painful or maybe feeling stressed over their head, usually at the back of the neck or back of the head. All right. Okay. So thank you so much to all those participants who responded through the chat box. I really appreciated it. Now focusing on what could be the possible impact of stress to our body, and what could we do in order for us to cope, with these kinds of effects of stress that leads towards the body. Okay, so firstly, stress can impact our body through feelings, thoughts, our behaviors. It can affect so much that it can also influence, okay, our way of perceiving, even reacting, feeling. Are these things that we are feeling, those that you are sharing to me on the chat box now, do you think it's normal? Yes, of course. Our body is affected by stress. These are normal. But if we do not pay attention to our bodies and manage our stress, your stress, this can weaken our immune system and can lead to serious health problems. So some of which that you did mention are affecting your the back of your head. Some are having difficulty breathing. Some are affecting their mood, your thoughts, their feelings, feeling anxiety, feeling anxious. They are having lack of motivation. Their behavior might changes in appetite, they have angry outbursts, they cannot manage much of their emotions, and can also uh, do maladaptive coping. Now, you see on the screen, we have a lot of possible effects that can affect the body when it comes to our stresses. Okay, so mental health, of course, during this pandemic, it has led to increased stress, loneliness, anxiety, even the height of the depression and anxiety among all of us. Actually, here in the Philippines, in our country, I would like to share that we also had uh, a high level of individuals reporting to clinics, to our clinics, reporting symptoms of depression and anxiety during the height of pandemic. And it is really important that we are aware and educated of what could we do, okay, on our in the comfort of our homes, practicing mindfulness, self-care, and self-compassion to be able to cope up healthily with these kinds of situation. Now, going with coping skills, we all have unique coping skills, but sometimes we are not aware if these coping skills are adaptive or maladaptive in nature. Yes, it can be of help in terms of relieving stress, but sometimes we tend to feel that it is just for a short period of time. And it's important, no, that we are also aware of how we can classify which are adaptive and maladaptive in nature, which will, of course, benefit the overall wellness. So, working on positive coping skills can help everybody deal with the uncertainty of the pandemic and maintain our overall well being. Now, to further discuss, as I mentioned about coping. What is coping? And these are the ways in which we respond to or manage stress, those uncomfortable emotions, the ways in which we respond in life's demands. So, for example, I did mention about maladaptive and adaptive coping strategies, right? Is coping always positive or adaptive? And the answer to that is sometimes we tend to feel that it is a good way of coping, but somehow it can only lead the body to a more detrimental effect of stress. Okay. Positive and helpful activities can help improve our mood beyond trying to understand and reframe our thoughts that may create negative emotions. We can also try to shape our emotions by expressing them or distracting ourselves from them. So, how do we now classify which are adaptive and maladaptive? Okay. So here, so as what you can see on your on the screen, okay, you can see that we have different maladaptive and adaptive coping strategies. Okay, and some of which can be uh, helpful, and sometimes this can also be difficult for the body, no, to move forward. Like for example, what are examples of maladaptive coping? If we are on coping styles of using substances, or let's say we are using the different uh, alcoholic drinks that can lead us to coping with our stresses. So what are the negative effects of this? Of course, it may be leading to disorders if it will be remained mismanaged. Okay. Now, when we speak of adaptive coping strategies, these are things that can be of help in terms of the overall wellness of ourselves. Okay, from the physical, spiritual, mental, and it is a way of not just escaping for a short period of time from the stressors that we are experiencing, but can also help us in terms of um, managing them for a longer period of time. Okay, so what are the consequences if we are not coping effectively? Okay, first is the avoidance of underlying concerns, prolonged distress, and short-term gain or long-term pain. Okay, when we speak of coping, not coping effectively, it can just avoid, no, the underlying problems, the main stressors that we may be having. It can only lead us to prolonged struggles. And it might give us a short period of time of coping with it, of being relieved with it, but it can just go over and over again for the next period of time. Okay, and also it can worsen initial symptoms if there is any that shall need a focus and an attention that we should do. Okay, another one is in terms of individual nature of coping, it is important that we should know that one size doesn't fit all. We can't hand out a comprehensive coping manual and tell everyone to have it, right? Same goes with mental health. When we get to define mental health, do we use one specific word of mental health and it applies to everybody? Isn't it that when we define mental health, it also depends on how we are coping, how we are managing our own mental health? It's yes, there are objective definitions, but mostly when we get to define mental health on our own, we see our subjective experience of it. Okay, are we mentally healthy, or do we need help? Do we need to seek help for these unhealthy manifestations that we are experiencing? Okay, same goes with coping. Our nature of coping is not always the same as with everybody. Okay, our way of coping, our styles of coping might not be effective for other people. Okay, I wanted to uh, remember the topic yesterday that was discussed with regards to the 5 A's, and I could see the relevance of that in terms of assisting our clients, because it's true that one size doesn't fit all. Some of the treatment plan that we may be constructing, we have to ensure that we will also ask and seek the approval and the side of our clients if they are comfortable, or if they think that these are can do practices, or these are can do proceedings that they can also apply on the course of treatment, right? And here we should always, it's important to ask for consent. If they do accept, agree with it, okay, it will be it can lead to a better course of treatment to our clients. Okay, so this leads us, no, of course, to the importance of self-care. Okay, in terms of self-care, it is there has been a lot of topics, researches that has been conducted with the benefits of self-care. Here, aside from focusing on things that we wanted to do, hobbies that we would like to venture on, so that we can help ourselves have some time to breathe from the stresses that we are experiencing. Okay, it is also important that we note the physical and emotional management of self-care, not just engaging to activities that can give us some time to enjoy, right? Emotion regulation is one important thing that we should give attention to, things that we are in control. That's also self-care, right? Since not a lot of things around us is or rather are things that we can control, that we can manage always. And by having this in mind, we can focus a lot more on ourselves rather than giving or being stressed out of the things around us, happening around us. Effective behavioral choices, setting clear boundaries for our time and our energy, recognizing our strength, having positive self-talk, affirming ourselves, self-love. Okay. Stress management, we can make use of mindfulness activities and exercises that can help us, okay, lessen the feelings of being anxious, such as progressive muscle relaxation, which I will also present to you later, guided imagery, journaling. These are very helpful. And also to share with you, we have these programs here in our country that we usually do to help build resiliency among Filipinos. And I would love to share that with you later. Awareness of what creates stress, of course, by knowing what is the source or identifying the reason, okay, behind, okay, the stressors can also help us target what could be the good things or manageable and adaptable skills, things we can do in order for us to solve the problem. Okay. Now to continue, let's proceed with self-compassion. How does it differs with self-care? When we speak of self-compassion, we tend to extend kindness to ourselves during times of stress. You will be more able to advance understanding and compassion to others. Okay. Of course, we cannot fill the cup of self-care and self-love, cup of care and love for other people if we forget to do it first to ourselves. We have to be, of course, more of being self-compassionate of everything that we do. Sometimes we may fail to achieve the things that we would like to reach, but of course, we have to be compassionate enough to be kind to ourselves in these times of stress, that we will be a lot more forgiving of our shortcomings for our own selves, and that we can do better. There is always a chance to be better and to improve ourselves. Okay? To continue with the mindfulness, this extends more of the practices by being mindful of the present moment, okay, by being mindful of the now. Okay. It's different from Gestalt in the sense that being mindful is a lot more of focused on not just the what is happening as of this moment, but we are not that hard to ourselves whenever we tend to hover our minds. Okay, we can still try to go back at the present moment by being mindful of our thoughts, of our emotions, of our actions. It is better, and we can help ourselves manage our way of dealing with the stresses, and not just the stresses but also the people around us. Okay, by focusing more of our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions, we can better guide them. Okay, we can better guide the way we speak, okay? The way we speak and the way we act towards other people. Now, on the screen, you can see, what your brain wants us to know. Okay, our brain wants us to know that what we always think about no stick, right? Everything that is in our mind, it manifests. Do you agree with me? Okay, and that our mind, our brain also want us to know that I interpret the world based on what our body sees, hears, smells, tastes, and feels. These interpretations are called thoughts. Now, these interpretations has no these things around us, what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, or even what we feel. This has no meaning until we give interpretation to it. Do you agree with me? And by interpreting it in such a way that we are mindful enough, then we can better manage not just our thoughts, but also the way we feel towards these things, the way we act towards these things. Now, to continue, the brain also tells us, you cannot shut me up. The more you tell me to shut up, I bug you even more. Isn't it that when we are trying to be mindful, it feels difficult if our mind hovers, okay? When we are trying to focus and trying to be mindful, our mind always thinks about what is happening in the past or what are plans in the future. Okay. Now, what our minds wants us to tell that it keeps on processing things around us, processing memories of the past, processing memories that we wanted to plan ahead. Okay. And that we can give much more time for our mind to relax, our mind to be more focused of what we are feeling and experiencing in the present. Learning anything becomes difficult when you are emotional. Okay? Our mind, our brain, the seat of our emotions is our amygdala, right? And when we are too emotional, whenever we get to process something, sometimes when we are too emotional, our mind becomes irrational. It is because that the amygdala shuts down because of our emotion being too dominant now instead of being mindful of what is happening at the moment. Okay. So for us to better manage our emotions, mindfulness is always the key for us to be able to decide to plan ahead better and not to be overpowered with too much emotions. Next is emotions are a result of the thinking process. Our thoughts, the result of our thoughts is our emotion. The result of our emotion is our action. What we think will in turn result to how we feel, and how we feel will be what we will act. Okay. I am unlike any other brain, and that we should be what? Believing in the capabilities of our cognitive processes. Okay. Next, if you don't use me, you lose me. That's why it's important that we do not only do physical exercises, but we also practice ways or actions that can benefit our mind, that can benefit our thinking, our cognitive process. Because if we don't use our brain, what will happen is, of course, we'll be able to lose them in times that we mostly needed them. Okay. Now, I would like to ask everybody, okay, please focus on this slide before I ask you to be on your breakout sessions. Think of a situation or experience that you had with your thought, with your emotion, and with your action. Then, how do you see mindfulness benefiting in this kind of action? Okay, in this kind of thinking, in this kind of feeling. Then on the selected session, I would like to ask if you can share it with your group and choose a representative who will discuss it later. All right. So yeah, let me try to operate our breakout rooms. We are consisting of 24 participants. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We'll be having, I think 3 breakout rooms is already enough. Okay. So after this, there will be 7 participants per room. And I would like to ask you to please do share it with your group. And later, after 5 minutes, we'll be going back on our main room for continuing with our discussion. Before I open it, I would like to ask if there are any questions. There might be clarifications from everybody. Anyone? All right. If there is any just let me know. You may also use the chat box for questions. All right. I'll be expecting everybody to return. Yes, Nunez, you're raising your hand.
Ma'am, there is a black square covering the screen po.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. So I'll be opening. Is everybody ready? Okay. To share it with their group. Thank you so much, Aisha, for replying. I will now open the breakout room. So again, after 5 minutes, we will go back on our main room. Okay, hello, good evening. So everybody is back on our main room. I hope you were able to converse with your group, with your teammates. And later I'll be calling at least one representative from each of the rooms. So we had three total rooms. So I'll be calling the name, I'll just call who will be the representatives for the breakout session. Okay. I would like to request for those who will be representing their room later, kindly send me a message or type in the chat box so that I can call your name. All right. So I'll just have some few words, few more discussions about the activity that we did. All right. So let me just share my screen. All right, here. So what you did in your breakout sessions is to be mindful and be familiarized with the things, with the thoughts, with the emotions and actions that you have experienced in terms of managing them, and how do you think mindfulness will be better helping us in terms of managing them later on. Okay, so just a few reminders. This diagram that you are seeing, our actions, as what you could see, these are a result of how we feel, our emotions. How we feel is a result of what we think, which are our thoughts. Now, for us to change the way we feel, we have to change the way we think, right? And for us to be aware of how we feel, we have to be aware, we have to be mindful of it, right? So this is helpful for times that we think we have no control of our emotions. Sometimes also, when we have no control of what we think, we have no control of how we feel. Now we can change our thoughts, we can change our mindset, and therefore change how we react to a certain situation. I hope you get to appreciate this diagram in terms of understanding our emotions and our thoughts and how it all work into influencing our actions. Okay, so let us now continue with the sharings. I would like to ask representatives from the group, from each of the room. Okay. So for the group, all right, for the room, first room, okay, for the room one, let me call on who will be the representative of room one. For room one, it is Frederick. All right, Frederick Latosa.
Hello po. Okay, so am I audible naman po?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you po. Good evening to all and Lasalin greetings. So our group is somewhat silent. However, there are also sharings that were entertained during this short span of conversation with one another. So answering the first question, which is all about think of a situation or experience you had with thought, emotion, and action. So according to Miss Iris, she had mentioned that she always have doubts in herself, even though she knows that she is capable on doing a certain task. In expressing her emotions, of course, when you are doubting yourself, you will have intrusive thoughts. And then for the second question, she have shared that mindfulness is having a kind of peace to yourself. And sometimes I do a lot of self-care and self-love because it helps me a lot to build a good confidence and trust on myself. And having a positive self-talk gives me the assurance that I can do everything that I can. As for me, I have shared in the first question that the best situation that I can share for the question number one is whenever there is an examination or whenever I am reviewing on a certain subject, because I'm usually thinking that the time span is short for the reviewing, and also it can be stated that I am also busy with the other subjects. Thus, I can see myself having the motivation that is somewhat withered. And then, with regards to emotion, whenever I am thinking negatively, I can see that it affects my performance poorly. And that is why, as much as possible, I do my best to motivate myself so that I can show to other people that I am fully capable. Thus, I can have this certain opportunity to inspire them as well. And last but definitely not the least, for the action, whenever I am doing things in a positive way, definitely it would allow me to inspire others, thus making me their source of motivation, or let's just say a role model to them, so that they will be inspired to do good things, to do what is best for the society. And so let us proceed naman for the second question. How do you see mindfulness benefits in this kind of question? So I have mentioned the situation of reviewing. So whenever I feel stressed or somewhat I feel panic because of the short span, I usually do some smiling exercise, and at times I do the breathing exercises, because whenever I am calm, as much as possible, I can think in a very organized way. And in addition to that, I also do the brain breaks in order for me to properly list down the activities and somehow give me the focus that I need, so that I can fully accomplish my task whenever I needed it to do so. So that would be all. Thank you, pa.
All right. Thank you so much, Frederick, for sharing what you talked about with your room, with your group. All right. And it's nice to know that you were also doing some mindfulness activities in order to cope with some of your stressors. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. All right. Let's have from the second group, or from the room two, we have Asia Capistrano to share with our group tonight.
Hello, am I audible po? Hello?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So we didn't actually think about a specific experience, because we believe that in every situation, in everything we do, we must apply this principle and process, that we should always be mindful of our thoughts and emotions in order so that we can execute them into meaningful actions. But we did came up with three benefits of being mindful in different situations. And the first one here is that when we are more mindful, we regret less. When we become mindful of something, we genuinely think about it, how it can affect ourselves and others, what can we get out of it, and what are the consequences of it. And thus we become wiser, and so we do choices that we would regret less. The second benefit here is that it would give us peace of mind, knowing that you really thought about something, you were sincere with your decisions, with your thoughts, and you organize your emotions and your reasoning, and combine them together to into your actions. It would give you a peace of mind that you did it would give you a peace of mind that you followed your own principles, or you didn't hurt anyone through the process. And the third one here is that another person in our group told us that it can actually help us with our self actualization. So that would be all po.
All right. Thank you so much, Aisha, for sharing that, and also some takeaways that you were able to impart to our group today. So now let me call on, okay, our third group, our third room. Okay, our representative would be Piolo. Am I correct? From the third room, or room 3? Or who will be? Is there anyone aside from, okay, all right. So Piola is trying to turn on the microphone. All right, okay. So just to have some discussion in terms of the sharings of our first two groups. It is nice to know that some of you are also trying some of these breathing techniques, some of the mindfulness exercises that you see helpful in terms of managing ourselves in times, of course, of times that you are stressed, in times that you are being caught up with a lot of things to do. It is really important to have some self-time, self-care, and being compassionate enough to always prioritize our health, okay, ourselves in these trying times. I think, Yolo, are you ready? Okay. Okay, I think Piola is still fixing his device, but we can continue. And if you are willing and would like to share some for your group later on, just let me know and I'll call you again later on. All right. So to further discuss, I have seen that a lot of our participants have already experienced or has been trying to apply mindfulness exercises and some of the self-care and self-compassion activities uh, at home. Okay, so I would like to continue with the benefits of meditation. Okay. All right, I would like to ask if you can clearly see my screen. I am having a trouble with the device. It has stopped functioning, but I hope that you can perfectly see it. Okay, can you see it, to our dear participants?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
All right, thank you so much for responding. So just a short discussion of the benefits of meditation. For several reasons, we have a lot of things that we usually consider in terms of doing meditation, in terms of doing mindfulness. To just a short introduction, when we speak of meditation, these are some of the exercises that can help us be mindful of ourselves, of our present situation, of the what is happening at the present moment. Okay, we are grounding ourselves to the benefit of focusing on our breathing, benefit of focusing on what is happening at the present moment. Okay, so what are the benefits of practicing meditation, of practicing mindfulness? First is it helps us improves our focus, our attention, our creativity, and our ability to multitask, and also increases gray matter. Okay, our brain always is always processing. Okay, what we always think about will stick, as what we have mentioned earlier during the discussion. If you always think that you're a failure, for example, or your emotions and actions will definitely manifest those kinds of thoughts of being failure. So meaning to say, what we always think will stick, what we think will attract. Okay, so our brain understands different experiences around us as a stimuli. And we tend to interpret the world. We tend to have an interpretation of something depending on how we think of it, right? These interpretations are the thoughts that we have, okay? The mental processes, the mental interpretations, okay? Now, to continue, a thought has no meaning until we give it one, right? And to further continue, we also have the emotional benefits of meditation, which decreases our anxiety and depression, improves emotional regulation and equanimity. Okay, when we speak of equanimity, it is our ability to what manage our emotions, ourselves, stay focus, bring and focus with the composure even in the middle of a stressful situation. Okay, now to continue, in terms of the physical, it decreases pain, it helps increases immune function, and it helps decreases inflammation at cellular level because we are focused, relaxed, our body, our muscles, okay, are what? Calm in nature. And socially, it can help us increase emotional intelligence and social connection. So we did discuss that mindfulness greatly benefits the overall well-being. But why do you think that some don't usually practice it? Yes, it's so awesome, but why haven't we been thought of how to do it? Okay. Firstly, it is for some people, they think it has something to do with religion. Here in the Philippines, I have encountered several participants before whenever I get to discuss mindfulness, and they do raise their concerns when it comes to religion. And to, of course, enlighten them, when we get to do practice mindfulness, when we get to do practice meditation, it is solely focused on benefiting ourselves, our health, our general well-being, okay, our physical, social, mental, and emotional well-being. And people don't have the patience nor the courage to practice it, and that consistency is always the key, right? Some think it makes them more unhappy because they feel that they feel too boring when they do practice meditation and mindfulness at the moment, okay? Because our mind always hovers and think a lot of, okay? We tend to process a lot of things in mind, okay? That is why it is always active. Okay, it is usually what we call as our DMN. Okay, our brain is always active, and we usually do more productive works by switching it to a task positive network by observing our thoughts in a non-judgmental and non-emotional manner. That is mindfulness, right? Learning anything by being task focused. Okay, it activates our mind by being observant in a non-judgmental and non-emotional manner. Okay, so to continue, I did mention about a certain program that we usually use here in our country, in Philippines, in order to build resiliency among people. We have been practicing the katatagan. We call it katatagan. And it was actually a program that was facilitated and first introduced by the Ateneo de Manila, together with the Psychological Association of the Philippines. With regards to the Katatagan module, we actually have 6 modules, 6 sessions, wherein people, our participants will get to practice and visit us every week, and we will be doing facilitating activities that will focus on handling their thoughts better, and the goal is to promote a well-rounded development, overall mental well-being. Okay, so here In our Katatagan module, we usually focus on self-care. We prioritize self-care and make it part of our daily routine, such as we introduce them to square breathing, this energetic exercises, the wall grounding, the bow, and the hanger. Usually these are typical simple exercise that we get to introduce to them in order to have movements, because movements is greatly important, of course, to maintain a healthy well-being. Okay. Another one is also uh, the breathing exercise, the square breathing, progressive muscle relaxation. So in wall grounding, we usually lean against the wall. Okay, as what you can see on the image, we usually lean against the wall and slowly sliding down until our knees are at 90-degree angle. Then you can hold that pose for 30 minutes while you are doing the square breathing. Okay, breathing in and breathing out. Okay, for 30 seconds while you are leaning your back on the wall. Another one is the bow. The bow is usually placing your arms, as what you can see on the picture, on the image. You are placing your arms in your lower back and pressing on it as you stretch your neck and looking up to the ceiling. So holding this kind of pose for 30 seconds, and after 30 seconds, you may do the hanger. So in the hanger, you slowly roll down and let your hands hang loose. Okay, it's like you are putting all your gravity on your arms while you are hanging it, okay, towards the floor, holding that for 30 seconds while breathing slowly. And after 30 seconds, you slowly roll back up. Okay, it actually helps to relax the body, the muscles. And another one that we also introduce to them is also the progressive muscle relaxation. This helps relax your muscles gradually to relieve stress. And in the progressive muscle relaxation, it helps us ease the tension in every part of our body, one muscle group at a time. So we usually tense up each muscle. We hold on to it, tense up each part, okay, each part of the muscle group for a few seconds. Then we release the tension and feel ourselves to let it go. Okay. In doing this, it helps release tension, okay, all over the body. So it can begin from starting from the legs, from the foot, going to the knees, to the thighs, next to the hips, and then followed by the hands, okay, or with the fingers, now releasing and holding it for, okay, having too much tension, tensing it up and releasing it or letting it go. Afterwards, we also do it using from the waist, from the shoulders, okay, from our neck, okay, our face, our cheeks, our facial muscles, and little by little, we also follow a step-by-step guide for this. If we have longer time soon, I can also facilitate it with other group. And another one is we also facilitate to them, to this module, the what we also call as the emotional freedom technique, okay, the tapping exercise. So we usually do this in an alternative treatment for some physical pain and emotional distress. So that is the EFT, or the emotional freedom technique. So we usually refer to it as what we also call as the psychological acupressure, wherein it used to treat people with anxiety, people with post-traumatic stress disorder, and which is also similar to acupuncture. We focus on the meridian points. So you see on the image on the screen, these are the energy hotspots. Now, in order for us to restore balance to our body's energy, it is believed that Restoring this energy balance can relieve symptoms of a negative experience or emotion that may have caused it. So we usually tap it for uh, 3 times while repeating these words. If even though I am experiencing a lot of stress right now, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay. And it goes on 3 times per body part, per meridian points in order to help us foster relaxation. All right. And these are some, no, of the exercises that we facilitate to them in order to uh, build resiliency and to focus on uh, mental health, their mental well-being. Okay. And also, for self-care, we also have mobile applications that we can make use of. Oftentimes, distressing events cause disruptions in our daily living conditions, right? And the experience of adversity may create a cycle of inactivity and low mood, right? So over time, being inactive and having this withdrawal of the symptoms that we can experience can lead to depression and anxiety. Now, establishing a sense of normalcy is very important. This applications is very helpful in terms of managing, okay, symptoms that we may experience, okay, in terms of calming our mind, in terms of focusing on mindfulness, headspace. They also have actually some um, channels in YouTube, both in YouTube and in Netflix. They also give their guide for mindfulness practices. Strides, which is a habit tracker, because in terms of forming habits, it is greatly relevant that we are aware of the benefits of being or practicing consistent habits, right? And doing the same routine over and over again for at least 30 days, 2 to 3 weeks, we can help build good habits for our well-being. Next is also the MyFitnessPal, which is usually suggesting some workout routines, and the gratitude journal, which is like a diary that can help us be reminded of the things that we are grateful every day. Okay? So this is the Katatagan Online that I did mention earlier, a resilience program for Filipinos. And of course, we are very open and welcoming also of other nationalities in joining us now with our program. You may proceed to katatagan.org, and here you can sign up and join our sessions each week. We actually have a 6 week sessions, and it is usually facilitated together with a focus on the different aspect of the self, different aspect of the in developing the overall well-being. It is again, of course, introduced by the Psychological Association of the Philippines and the Ateneo de Manila. So I hope we can also invite you to join us there, and to, of course, make use of this program in terms of promoting mental well-being to everybody. Thank you, everybody. So do you have some questions, some clarification, some of you? Oh, before we proceed with the question and answer, I have seen the message of one of our participants, Piolo. He is now ready to present what they have talked about together with their group, together with their room 3. Okay, Piolo, you may now start.
Good evening po, Miss. Am I audible?
Yes, you
Thank
are
you po.
audible.
So apology because it took me so long to join again. That's why I wasn't able to join the breakout room earlier due to internet connection issues. But before we ended the night, I would like to share my personal experience with regard to the question. So I would like to share the most recent one. So I had an opportunity to transfer in another school last month. And if truth be told, my family and other relatives in UP Diliman really encouraged me to go there since the month of June is a transfer season. So, you know the feeling, I had literally a mixed feelings of emotions because I feel so confused and bewildered that moment. I don't know what to do because to begin with, UP is a dream for me. Frederick knows about this because he helped me to fulfill the requirements needed last month. But you know, on the other hand, I cannot sacrifice the time I spent here in the LSAU for the sake of my long lost dreams. So there were many things I must consider, like the time I stayed here in the LSAU, the professors, the friends, and other people that I met here was a great part of my growth and development as a student and as a person. So meanwhile, the things I did or the action that I did in order to know what the right thing to do is I consulted with other people. But of course, not just other people, but those you know that can help you in that situation. So our program chair, Miss Hazel, and the scholarship head of the LSAU, which is Miss Glenna, they told me that the school is just an additive support to our success. Because at the end of the day, what matters most are our perseverance, our skills, and our character, which will lead us to success no matter what school we came from. So that moment, that literally helps me to decide on what to do, which is the answer is to stay here and just finish the course because I can still take a masteral in my dream school afterwards. And also, just to pay respect na rin po sa DLSAU as someone who is scholar in this school. So what helped me more is I took a moment to clear that from my mind because sometimes, you know, when we are too bombarded with tasks and information, it's very hard to decide, especially if you do not have the support system from other people that but if you will have a quiet time and if you will seek a professional help, that would be a great step for you to get out of that difficult situation. And with that po, I've realized that whenever I am in a challenging moment or whenever I am contemplating, I should take actions with the sense of a safety in mind. That and also after that month, I realized din po na sometimes we grow from our decisions and there's so many things that you could have handled better, so many situations that you could have been kinder, but what you can really do is to forgive yourself. Thank you po.
All right. Thank you so much, Piolo. That is very nice. And of course, I would like to congratulate you as well for passing no, the application for UP. And we are happy for that. And also honored that you still chose to stay with your existing university. All right. And thank you for sharing that with the group and how you've seen being mindful, clearing up your thoughts, helped you in making this greatest. And I think it's a hard decision to make, right? But being mindful of it, it helped you no, to focus on which do you think is a lot more important. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Thank you for having me tonight. I am now open for questions if ever there are some of you who would like to raise some questions.
Dear participants,
Yes, I saw Ma'am Mary raised her hand.
yeah, Mary ma'am, please go ahead.
It's a very informative talk, actually, that mindfulness, and we had a lot of chat in the breakout rooms and all. So it's very difficult, different topic. I learned lot of things. For me, no doubts. More this topic is different topic. So I learned and gained lot of knowledge. Thanks for you coming to our forum from my bottom of my heart. God bless you, ma'am. All the best for your next session and all the best for your life also. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm also honored to be part of this group.
Anyone else would like to share your comments, feelings, observations, or any queries? Feel free to express yourself. You can unmute yourself, or you can raise your hand, or you can share in chat box. If there are no queries, then we shall move on. It was a really insightful presentation on mindfulness and also the relaxation techniques and the various aspects that has been discussed as very well taken. Thank you once again for joining.
Thank you. Thank you for this wonderful session. Thank you to our participants. And of course, to
As of now, I don't see any queries in chat box. I was just going through the chat box. So, yeah, there are few appreciation messages from participants. So thank you. It was once again, it was very wonderful session, and we look forward for more sessions from you even in future. It was nice learning for everyone.
thank you, Dr. Ravindra.
Thank you once again on behalf of Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Well-being. Once again, thank you, and we express our gratitude. Today we are celebrating our gratitude Teachers Day. I mean, in a traditional way. So we express our gratitude and best wishes and regards to you as well. Thank you once again. Dear participants, kindly find the feedback link in the chat box. Fill up the feedback form. It is mandatory for receiving your certificates. Quickly fill up the feedback form. It has been shared in the chat box. We thank you once again. everyone, on behalf of Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute, the Center for Art, Sciences and Well-being, for joining us on this wonderful occasion. And see you all tomorrow at the same time. Dear participants, quickly fill up the feedback form. We'll be there for another few minutes. Dear participants, quickly fill up the feedback form.
Goodbye and thank you po.
Goodbye and thank you po.
Thank you. After filling the feedback form, you can leave the webinar. See you all tomorrow at the same time. Take care. Good night.